Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope all of you are doing well. I wanted to take a look at my old version of the Make Your Own Card game again, and this time I wanted to look at a specific mechanic from that game. It's one that was added later after the base rules were made. It's called Advantage Cards. Now, what are Advantage Cards? Well, to find out what those are, we simply turn back to this old rule book here and it tells you right there. We had like these extra 2 pages in the back just for any extra rules we wanted to add later in this game's life. And one of those was advantage cards. Now, basically, the rule behind these was the player who goes second is allowed to choose an extra card called an advantage card to add to their hand on the first turn. These cards aren't considered part of your main deck, but they are cards you can play, and they're similar to the instant action cards, which are like the normal actions from today's game. Players are only allowed to play one advantage card per game, and when that advantage card is played, its effect gets used and is removed from the game immediately. And each player gets one advantage card to bring alongside their 40-card deck. Now, which sounds pretty cool, but there are some problems with it, which I will explain as we go along, but as you can see, there's only 3 cards of these total that I will go through. And the first of these is Double Draw. This is an advantage that states that when drawing a card to begin your turn, you may play this card to draw 2 cards instead of 1. And another thing about advantage cards too is they actually have a slightly different back. They have this blue border around the edges, whereas normal make your own cards from this time did not. And so that was one, and the next one I've got here is Combat Cube. This is an advantage that allows you to put this card into play and treat it as a 1/1 character until it is defeated or otherwise removed from play. So you basically get an additional character. It's an additional character you can play. And also notice here the cost. There are no costs to any of these. You can just simply play them for free, which is kind of neat. And then the final one of these is Power Up. This card allows you to, when you play it, you get to spend 1 more power than what you would usually be able to spend until your next turn. So say you're playing this on the first turn when you're only allowed to use 1 power worth of stuff. This one, you play this, and then you can use 2 power worth of cards on your turn. So it's kind of interesting there. Now, why was this mechanic not the greatest? Well, you couldn't really rely on the advantage cards very much because sometimes you wanted to go first, and you couldn't really build your deck around these. The other big issue was their freeze, so their effects couldn't really be the most powerful in the world. And also the first turn rules were slightly different compared to what they are in today's game, because in the previously you could only on your first turn, the only thing you were denied being able to do was drawing a card. Nowadays, the player going first is unable to draw a card or attack on their first turn. So these cards kind of became obsolete, but through just one rule change. And well, that's kind of all I wanted to show you in regards to this. It's definitely kind of an interesting look back at kind of a different time in the game's history, just because I think our original vision for these was, well, the player going second didn't have enough of an advantage, so we made a special card type they could use. But as I said, you couldn't really build around them, and they couldn't really have that much of an impact on the gameplay. And they were kind of made obsolete by some rule changes. And that about does it for this little video. Thank you very much for watching. Definitely throw me a like if you like this look back on Make Your Own TCG Season 2. I'll definitely have more cards to show of this game in the future. Got plenty of them. And I'll see you in whatever video I upload next, and take care.